Hi there, hope you're doing well. My name is Christopher, and I'm one half of How 7, and we're going to take a quick look at our Playdate game, Carte Blanche, a collection of classic two-player card games presented by a friendly raven named Blanche. Now, this video is going to be a brief overview of the full Carte Blanche experience, but if you're interested in seeing more of the individual games themselves, there are also separate videos with a full session of gameplay for each game in the collection. So if you want to learn about one of those games in particular, those videos are available. But for now, let's take a look at Carte Blanche as a whole. This is the main games menu. You can see the options are Cribbage, Spite and Malice, Spades, Gin Rummy, and Casino. And if we go into a specific games page, you can see there are options for each of the games. We have a guided tutorial where Blanche will walk you through how to play, and also a detailed rule book that you could use as a reference. Maybe even during the game, you could pull up the rules and look up a rule that you have a question about, or if you just learn better from learning the rule book, that's also available. But we also know that some people like to dive in and start playing and learn as they go. So we tried to make the interface as intuitive as possible for that sort of player. And with that in mind, plus given the fact that I do already know how to play all of these games, why don't we just dive right in? Cribbage is an adding game, but with an extra twist. Your hand of cards is just as valuable as how well you can play them. Each round, players select a 4-card hand from the 6 they're dealt. The discarded cards are called the crib and set aside. Then players take turns playing cards from their hand, trying to add up to 31. The player who gets the closest earns some points, but the cards you play can earn you points as well. When the adding is over, the game has only just begun. Each player earns points for the values of their hands, and as a bonus, one player gets to score the discarded crib cards as well. Race to the end of the board with clever discards and tactical card play. Spite and Malice is a game from the Patience family of games, which includes solitaire classics like Klondike, Spider, and Free Cell. In this competitive Patience game, players are racing to be the first to play all the cards in their payoff pile into the shared foundation piles. Cards in your hand, and those you've discarded from previous turns, can get the foundations closer to where you need them, but they're open to both players. If you get one too close to the card your opponent needs, they might speed right past you. Set yourself up for the perfect turn, but be careful not to set your opponent up in the meantime. Spades is a trick-taking game that's often played four-handed in partnerships of 2 players each, but Blanche is particularly fond of the 2-handed variant for a quick burst of card-battling strategy. Each round, players draft a hand of 13 cards, trying to gather the strongest cards they can. They then bid how many rounds, or tricks, they think their hand can win. The higher the bid, the more points you'll score. But if you don't make your bid exactly right, you might not score anything. Could even lose some points. Plan, predict, and play your best. Gin Rummy, as the name suggests, is in the Rummy family of games, where players draw and discard cards in an attempt to get all the cards in their hand to fit into groups. The more cards you can group together, the stronger your hand will be. And if you can group your entire hand, well, that's called gin and worth some bonus points. But speed is a factor as well. If your opponent can get their hand close enough to perfect and end the round before you're ready, you might end up giving them the game. Craft the perfect hand and catch your opponent off guard to get the most points. Casino is a fishing game, a mechanism where players play cards either by adding them to the available pool on the table, or by matching them with cards on the table to be collected for points. In Casino, you have an additional option called Building, which lets you craft new cards that are the exact value you need for a big play. But you can only play one card at a time, and your opponent might have just the card they need to steal all your hard work. Be careful with your builds and capture as many cards as you can. In addition to the card games themselves, Blanche does have a little bit more to share with you. Every time you play a game with Blanche, she'll award you some number of pennies, and she'll keep track of how many pennies you have right here in the main menu. If we flip to that page, then you'll see the penny ante section, Blanche says that she found this old slot machine sort of deal, and it was card themed, so she brought it back to Carte Blanche and set it up for her guests to try their luck on. You could spend your pennies in the machine and try to get 3-card poker hands. The better the hand, the more you win, and eventually you might win a prize. Some of the prizes are little trinkets that Blanche has meticulously collected over time, and she's very proud of them. When you win a trinket, she'll put it on display in her gallery, which you can browse at any time. And Blanche loves when you visit the gallery, so see if you can collect them all. There are a few other little bits and surprises in Blanche's parlor, but hopefully that gives you a better idea of what Carte Blanche is all about. If any of the games seemed interesting to you and you'd like to see more, you can check out the individual game videos. And to stay up to date on Blanche news, you can follow our social media accounts or check out carteblanche.cards. Thanks for visiting. Hope to see you at the table.